So in order to protect democracy, we must indict the incumbent president's likely opponent with fake crimes, remove him from the ballot in every state they possibly can, censor dissenting speech online, call the FBI on his supporters, and deploy the intel community to protect Biden's criminal activity. Here now to assess the political persecution by the left is Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. MTG is in the house. Welcome back. Since we last spoke, this whole idea of Colorado Supreme Court pulls Trump off the ballot. California says they're going to do the same. Are we going to about to get into a tit for tat where all the conservative states pull Biden off and all the liberal nut job states pull Trump off? It sounds insane.
Well, it is insane, and that's what everybody is calling it. Absolutely insane. But Eric, let's be honest. If the left, if the Democrats want to start making these rules, well, guess what? We can use the same exact rules. For example, we could take Joe Biden off the ballot in red states and other states because he is committing treason with his border policies, and the invasion has gotten so bad at the southern border. We could also take his name off the ballot because of the impeachment inquiry that we've been doing on the Oversight Committee, and we produced evidence that Joe Biden has definitely participated in Hunter Biden's business deals with foreign countries and sold his power for political favors, and he's received the financial benefit from that because we have the checks. And so I'm a big believer if the left wants to make new rules, well, we should make them live and play by their own rules.
You know, it's such a good point, MTG, because the Supreme Court in Colorado pulled him off the ballot for insurrection, and we pointed out immediately after it happened on Tuesday night that he's not been accused of insurrection anywhere, including Jack Smith, who can't stand Trump, isn't even doing insurrection for January 6th at the Capitol. It would be akin to you in the House going directly, forget the inquiry of impeachment, going directly to the impeachment vote, which you would pass in without even hearing anyone's side of the story, just going, you know what, impeach him. That's what they basically did in Colorado.
Well, and they did that to President Trump on the second impeachment. Literally, within 1 week, Nancy Pelosi impeached President Trump. But Eric, I've been down this road. The same thing happened to me right before my primary election in 2022. The Democrats took me to court and tried to take my name off the ballot in Georgia and tried to disenfranchise the voters in my district and take away their ability to vote for me by removing my name. They used the exact same language they're using against President Trump, and that was the 14th Amendment, Article 3. And this is literally the same thing that they did to me. Luckily, I won my court case in 2022, but what we saw in Colorado is a complete violation of the First Amendment. And I think we can all be confident in the United States Supreme Court that it will be overturned.
Hopefully. I hope they do it quickly, because here's what you're going to end up with. You're going to have the red states fighting with the blue states, and you're going to go to two different conventions, and the superdelegates are going to decide who the nominees for president are instead of the people, which is just insane. And by the way, they started it. They fired the first shot, so they should be careful with this. Myra Gay, I think it is, from the New York Times, called, I guess we could be considered Trump supporters or pro-Trump, America First people. Apparently you and I and half the country are Confederates. Listen.
Why are you standing with Confederates who betrayed this country? And this is what they're standing with, is the spirit of those Confederates, and clearly saw a threat in ex-Confederates running for office, so much so that they amended the Constitution to prevent those traitors from running for office. That should send a message that our election system, our electoral system, can be used for nefarious purposes against the democracy itself.
So that's a New York Times reporter, New York Times writer, who is talking about this, the 14th Amendment, which the Supreme Court in Colorado used to pull Trump off the ballot. But she's making the case for not doing this. That was put into place in the Constitution. It was amended, the Constitution amended for exactly that. An insurrection, a real live 150 years ago, 180 years ago insurrection, a threat to the democracy. Donald Trump isn't that. Your thoughts? I'm sorry.
Well, I totally agree with you, Eric. That was a completely different era that has long gone by. And what they passed back then was after the Civil War. And it does not apply to this circumstance right now. President Trump has not been charged with insurrection. President Trump has not been convicted of insurrection, no matter what the New York Times writes in its pathetic little newspaper. This is just not true. Neither was I convicted, and that was the argument that my attorneys made in court when I had to go through the exact same thing and was forced to sit on the witness stand under oath being accused of insurrection, although I had never been convicted of it. And I'll say this loud and clear for anybody watching this show. If the Democrats want to go down this path, I am all about using their rules against them. They have opened up Pandora's box, and we can do the same thing. We can find Joe Biden and others guilty of treason for what they are doing at our southern border, and we can remove them off of ballots too. But I tell you what, we should never have to do that, because it's up to the voters who they get to elect and who they get to send to represent them or to serve in the highest office of the land, the President of the United States. And we should be respecting the voters, especially the voters of Colorado right now. And I look forward to seeing this overturned in the Supreme Court.
Well, I, for one, am very glad you're there. You're sitting there and keeping an eye on all things that go on in the swamp, D.C. People like you are what keep us a democratic republic, and the left needs to figure that out. They need to know, even to understand what that even means. I don't even think they get that. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.